Hello and welcome, Bonnie. I'm so excited to have you here on the Joyful Business Club.
Thanks, Serena. Wonderful to be joining you all the way from Townsville.
That's right, but you were in Canberra fairly recently.
Yes, yeah. We spent the last 2 years and we moved to Townsville in December.
Wow, quite a road trip, and at a time when things were a bit uncertain in COVID as well. I remember seeing your pictures.
Yeah, definitely. It was a little bit dicey, wondering what was going to happen at the borders, but it all worked out fine. And here in the hot and the humid.
Yeah, well, it's still hot here in Canberra. But speaking of Canberra, I know that in your business, the Avid Organiser, you won some awards last year, and one of them at least were for Canberra.
Yeah, I was on the back of a really, really tough year, as most businesses and most people know 2020 was not a great year. But the best thing that happened to me in 2020 was that I won the Sole Operator of the Year for the Canberra Local Business Awards.
Congratulations, and that is a huge honour. And I know you're very proud of it, justifiably so, but it wasn't your, there we go, straight to the pool room.
Straight to the pool room.
But it wasn't your only award that you won last year.
No, I actually also won the Soaring Micro Award with the Women with Altitude Network. So that was amazing. 2 from 2, you just can't ask for more.
That's fabulous. Now, for those who don't know Bonnie and what she does, she's an organising whiz. Her company's called the Avid Organiser, and pre-business, her career was spent in engineering and construction industries. So she's worked on projects for Xstrata Coal, Rio Tinto, BMA, Bechtel, Sedgman and Thiess, both in Australia and overseas. So she's got like quite a lot of extensive experience working in roles such as procurement officer and also project coordinator. And I've had her here for a consultation looking at the Joyful Frugalista. And yes, she is thorough and she is very good in terms of thinking about how to get systems working quite well.
Thanks, Serena.
So my first question to you, and those of you who are online, please press like, say hi, leave a comment. If you're watching on replay, please do #replay. But question number one is, well, why is organisation important? Like, some people are naturally more organised, I know. I'm a little bit on the creative spectrum, and sometimes I find, the thought of being organised kind of, I like being creative. I like having stuff everywhere. So why is organisation important?
Excellent question, Serena. So definitely some people are naturally, I would say, more neat and tidy than organised. Organisation is it's a skill that you can learn. It's never too late to learn how to be organised. Don't just assume that it's too late for you. There's no chance. So I've got a few reasons why organisation is so important. In your personal life, but mostly in your business, it's crucial. So the first thing is that it helps your clients have far more confidence in you. So if you think about an accountant or a lawyer, a mortgage broker, if they're constantly muddling up your documents, sending you the wrong things, how much confidence do you really have in their ability to do the job for you? Probably not much. So that's the first message that organisation sends to your clients. It gives them confidence.
That's a big one, I think. I remember I used to have a property manager, and like the keys for properties were all sort of like in a funny place and they could never find them. It doesn't send a good signal, does it? In fact, we did change property managers to someone who had a very robust system for labelling all their keys, for signing their keys in and out, and so forth and so forth.
Yeah, definitely. So the next thing I would say, why that organisation is important, is it allows you to serve your clients in a more timely manner. And let's face it, our world is always in a hurry. We always want to do things faster, more efficiently. And when you're able to find the things that you're looking for, you can get back to your clients faster.
Yeah, exactly.
That also, builds that confidence again. It also frees up more time. So there's also, I guess there's no accounting for procrastination and, just those off days that you have.
But I never have those. I never have days where it's really hard to get things done, or just things never seem to come together. Like it's some days it's procrastination, and some days it's just, I don't know, like, weird back to school things. You start something 10 million times and every time you do, the phone rings or something happens.
Yeah, 100%. So while you can't account for those kind of things, when you have improved organisation, you can actually, it has a direct impact on your efficiency. It actually stops you from procrastinating because you know where to put things.
That's a very good point.
Truthfully, it does reduce your stress. If you're somebody like me who has to write lists, because I don't tend to retain information in my brain. I have some friends who can recall amazing details from months ago. It just stays there. But for me, it's not like that. So being organised and having all my information where it needs to be, it de-stresses me because I don't have to worry. And also too, there's so many creative types that I work with, big picture people who have grand plans, but even they like to be in control of their own business. And organisation definitely gives you back that control. Actually, there was a study done back in 2017 which looked at the effects of clutter on the household.
Mm-hmm.
And they found that individuals who were more overwhelmed by the amount of stuff in their homes were more likely to procrastinate.
Wow, that's really interesting. And actually, as you know, in recent years, there's been quite a surge and a rise in the popularity of minimalism. And they say that as well, like, the more choices you have, the more you procrastinate. And there's even this movement called 33. I don't know if you heard about it, where people have only 33 items in their closet. And that's like shoes, clothes, jewelry, and that's it. And they'll survive for, a month, 3 months with just 33 items. And they swear by it because they say sometimes you just spend all this time looking through, you've got too many choices.
Yeah.
It's just overwhelming.
Yeah. Could you do it?
I don't know. Hubby has a dream of caravanning, and I think if I was caravanning, I'd probably try it. There's a lot to be said by a micro wardrobe. I do like bling though. I do like stuff. And although we live in an apartment and we've got rid of a lot of stuff, I've got about 3 bags of clothes under the bed, and then the spare room and other stuff. So, I've got quite a lot of clutter to get rid of before I could get to that point.
Yeah, definitely. There's also actually a similar study to the one I mentioned before that actually showed that a cluttered home environment, it triggers coping and avoidance strategies, and most of them involved snacking on junk food and watching TV.
Wow, that's really fascinating.
Isn't it? Especially for people who work at home, and post 2020, so many of us work at home now. So I guess, what does that say about your home office? Is it making you eat junk food and avoid doing work?
Well, Peter Walsh, the decluttering expert, who's written several books, he's written one, and I think the title is something like, Does My Butt Look Big in That Junk or something? Don't quote me on the title, look it up. But he's written a whole book about, the importance of reducing clutter and weight loss. And he says basically the amount of clients he's worked with where he's gone through and he's got rid of a lot of their stuff, and he's found that naturally they have lost weight as well.
That's amazing. That's amazing. I would believe it. I really would.
Well, you're the organisational expert, so you probably see aspects of that yourself without mentioning any clients by name.
No, look, I think even in my own life, I'm just happier and I relax more when things are organised. It's just an unwind and de-stress when everything's where it should be.
I'm a bit of both. So, I had an ex-husband who actually did have OCD, so there was a lot of pressure on having everything right. So I find sometimes the pressure to be too Marie Kondo to everything organised actually causes me more stress than being organised. So you can probably see in the background, I'll move around a bit, that, I have, hang on, I've turned the video off in that process, but, I have, it looks a bit disorganised there. It's not super neat, but that said, there is that's my bill payment system. So there's systems there. They're actually quite organised in their own way.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a balance between what is actually going to cause you stress, the stress about worrying about being organised, or the stress about not being organised enough. So, you just got to find a balance.
So I guess the big question then next is, well, how can someone start to be more organised, especially when it comes to their business? And I know you work with a lot of businesses, and particularly a lot of people who are just starting out, and I know I've had a consultation with you. So what is the starting point for becoming more organised?
Yeah, okay. So I guess there's 2 things. So one is that when you're already in business, you've already accumulated a lot of stuff. And it can be super overwhelming to think, how do I go back and fix this? regardless of whether that's your situation or whether you're just starting out and want to put some good organizational foundations, let's call them that, we'll put those in place. I think it's easy to work reactively instead of proactively without good foundations. And you don't add in the busyness of life, and it feels impossible to actually get organized, but it's not. So the first place that I always tell people to start is do a stock take of what you have. So it can be a physical stock take of things that you sell, hard copy paperwork that you've accumulated for your business, or it's digital stock that you sell, like courses or I don't know, whatever it would be, or simply just electronic files and data. So take a long, hard look at the stuff that's associated with your business. You know, as time goes by, we often forget about the things that we've created. You know, it was an event 2 years ago and I created this, you know, flyer or a handout or whatever, and you forget about it, you know, because life moves on. It could be stuff that you've bought and stuff that data that you've captured for your business, which is still really important. So doing a stock take gets you to take a long, hard look at your business holistically, rather than just focusing on the parts that you see every day. Because you don't want to discount those things that were, you know, a month ago, 6 months ago, because that's still all really important information, and you probably put a lot of time and effort into, you know, gathering or creating those things. So doing the stock take, it gives you this opportunity to critically look at what you use regularly, what's taking up space, and what you're just never going to use again.
Yeah, that makes sense, because it is amazing the amount of things you hold on to. I know you've just moved. It's been 4 years since I've moved house, but it's amazing the things you uncover.
Totally. I would actually say it's one of the best things about being a military spouse and having the frequent moves. You actually just get a little bit brutal about what you're getting rid of. You know, if it hasn't been used in the last posting, which is usually 2 to 3 years, then usually it gets given away or donated or, you know, sold on by swap sale. You know, it keeps the house clutter-free.
Mm-hmm. That's a good way of putting it, I guess. And I know I see the benefits myself in my business of being organised. It's certainly, if I want to be effective in what I do, because I've taken on rather a lot, as I tend to, it certainly helps me bend time a little bit in terms of being, you know, a little bit more organised and more conscious of how I'm using my time.
Yeah, definitely. You are one busy lady with lots of different moving pieces, you know, in what you do. So I can see how being organised would definitely, give you that sense of control and probably efficiency as well. You know, you feel like you're making the most of your days.
Yeah, in my first probably 3 months, particularly after I left work, I was crazy busy. Like I was running around doing a lot. I was sort of like determined to be really, really make this a huge success. But I actually really did struggle, because in the workplace, so much of my work had been top down, like it had been quite reactive. And so you never knew from one day to the next what was going to happen, but it was always busy and it was always stressful and it was always a lot of adrenaline around. And, you know, I struggled with this concept about how to organize my time during the day, because it was up to me how I decided which task to do next. It wasn't because, you know, the secretary or the minister or my boss wanted something.
Yeah, that shift between that, you know, reactive to proactive states, it can be really hard. And as you said, you know, if you've had a full-time job, you know, or employment, often it's like that. You're just jumping from one crisis to the next, you know, dealing with the first thing that hits your desk. Definitely a big change for you.
Yeah, exactly. And then in that environment too, it's really hard to build good systems. Like, you know, everyone knew we should have had a CRM, a contact relationship management system, for instance, but no one had time. So in my own business, you know, I've been very conscious of building up systems from the ground up while it's quiet. Doesn't mean I've done it effectively.
Yeah.
But I recognise it's important. Which brings me, I guess, to my next question, which is, what's the best tool you can use for better organisation? Like, obviously, you're aware of a lot of different organisational tools. Like, what's the best thing to use?
Okay. The most simple thing and the most foundational thing that you can do is actually completely free. It's not an app, it's not software, it's actually a filing structure. You know, we just talked about all the information that we gather and create as part of a business. So the most important thing is actually having a good filing structure. You know, whether that's a digital filing structure or a hard copy, for paperwork filing system, it's crucial that you can find what you're looking for when you're looking for it. That's the whole point of organisation. So a good filing structure helps you zero in on the information that you need, and it helps you easily ignore the information that's actually not relevant. So an example would be, say you've got a coaching business. I work with a lot of coaches. Let's say that 50% of your clients are private clients. You have one-on-one meetings with them. And 50% of your clients are group sessions. And you keep a file, with notes and bits and pieces on each of your clients. So without a filing system to categorize that information, you have to go and look through 100% of your files to find one client you're looking for. Yeah? But if you had 2 top-level folders, one called group coaching and one called private clients, when you know you're looking for a private client, you can go straight to that folder, and then already you're looking through 50% less files. So that's where the filing system starts to save you time. And obviously that's a very simple example, and things do get more complicated as a business gets bigger, but that's an example of how it saves you time.
That's actually a very good example. I was having a discussion just yesterday with Michelle Cochran from Australian Essences. I was a guest on her Facebook channel for Facebook Live, and we were talking about a particular booking system she has. So she does remedial massage, but, she uses a professional system that allows her to take notes and to save it, and, how she manages her bookings. And in her case, and I won't mention the particular platform, but she finds that really works for her. It's been quite revolutionary and quite life-saving for her. Means that she's not running around looking for things that she scribbled on pieces of paper, and when she sees a client come back, she knows exactly about their history.
Yeah, definitely. I think, when we don't know where to put things, that's when things usually end up floating on the desktop of our computer, or there's, that pile that ends up on the end of the desk, and you think, I'll figure that out later. And then there's another thing that happens, 2 days later, you add another piece of paper to the file, or another file to the desktop. And, a week, a couple of weeks, a month later, and you've got a stack of stuff and you don't know what to do with any of it. So I think that's where a good filing structure really helps you avoid procrastination, because you know where to put things.
Exactly, you do it straight away. And one great tip that I learned from you was just, I guess, the branches and roots of how to do that, like to have it quite simple. I think I probably had too many folders. It's sort of a bit too hard to find.
Yeah, I think the whole aim of the filing system is really that categorization. It's grouping the like information, and it seems so simple, and like people want this magic fancy pill to fix all their files.
Yeah.
But really, it is a bit time consuming to set up, but when you can set up that good filing structure, it really does save you time and it saves you stress.
I wanted to acknowledge a few people online. Sarah Schmidt, who has referred to procrastination as a lazy day. Yes, it is actually important for our mental health to have lazy days from time to time, by the way.
Yeah.
I actually had a very busy day on Wednesday. It was crazy busy, and then got up early yesterday morning for networking, and then came back and slept for 2 hours, which I can do because I'm a solo operator, but then I was going again till 10:30. So you need to do that or else you burn out. The lovely Paul Boltwood from Corrimal Shire has also popped in to say hi, and he says, the piece of paper with the important information on it that you can never find. This is my life. Well, Paul, let me just say that does not need to be your future life. No. And I really strongly recommend booking a session with Bonnie, who can revolutionise your life. She'll get systems in place for you so that you can be more efficient and effective. And Deborah Parsons also gives a shout out and says hello.
Oh, hi, Deb. Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining us. Actually, Serena, that's probably a great opportunity for me to say, everybody who's jumped on here today, I'm offering half an hour free consult to anybody who would like it. If you have questions, if you want to run something by me, will this work, won't that work, what do you think I should do? And I'll pop the link if anybody wants to put in. That's completely free.
And Paul asked, does Bonnie travel to Wollongong? Well, no, she lives in Queensland now, Paul. She used to live in Canberra. But the modern technology is amazing, isn't it?
It is, definitely. Most of my clients actually are interstate at the moment, so I'm all over working remotely.
Wonderful. So another question for you, Bonnie. In your experience, what is the most common problem that businesses face when it comes to organisation? And then once you've identified this problem, I'm assuming there's at least one problem
Yes.
that's common. How do you fix it?
Look, there are a lot of problems that small businesses face, but the one that I hear constantly, and the thing that gets the groan kind of reaction from small businesses, is email inboxes.
Yes.
Yes. So most small businesses find that they just end up with too many emails and they don't know how to fix it. Some of my clients have actually just said to me, Bonnie, can you just sort out my emails? Because it gets to a point where it's too overwhelming to go back and sort it out. But there is a fix. There's definitely a way that you can, I guess, make email management easier, less complicated. And it just starts with making a few habit changes. So first, I would say print off or print to PDF, depending on whether you like paper or digital files. So PDF, important pieces of information, and save them into your filing system. So don't constantly rely on having to go back and search through your emails to find that, that one important detail that you're looking for. That way you don't have to hold on to every piece of correspondence you receive. You just have the important stuff filed in your wonderful filing system. So second, don't rely on the search function. I know that it can be quite helpful, but don't solely rely on it. Use folders to strategically break down and categorize the information you need. So for me, I have a folder for taxation. I have a folder for all my different
I have one
clients.
too.
Yeah.
Yay.
Yeah. I've got a folder for networking bits and pieces, and it makes it really easy for me to just throw it in the folder where it needs to go if it's something I actually need to keep. I think too, get ruthless. Delete your emails. Would your business, cease to function if you lost an email? Would it really be the end of the world? Yeah, definitely. But if it's important information, you should have it in your filing system anyway.
That's a good point.
Yeah, so I would say get a little bit ruthless. You don't probably need to hold on to those when people have responded to you saying, yep, see you then. Get rid of that rubbish. That's just clutter. You don't need that. Save your attachments, ditch the emails. I guess on the topic of email management, in the last year, I've made a massive change to the way that I use my email inbox. And I would say at the moment, the most I have in my inbox is probably 8 to 10 emails.
What? 8 to 10 emails, not hundreds of thousands?
No. So, and mostly it's probably around 4 or 5, depending on how busy the day is. So the way that I now think of my emails is actually like a runway and not a to-do list. And this has made the biggest change to the way I deal with emails. So if you think of a plane on the runway, when you're going somewhere, the plane doesn't just faff around on the tarmac. It gets out there and it goes, they land and then they get off. There's no hanging around. And really your email should be the same way. Correspondence goes out, correspondence comes in. Don't spend hours sitting in your inbox. That's actually not the thing that makes you money. It's important, but it's still not money making, and it's still, well, certainly for me, that's not what I get paid to do. I get paid to do work for people.
Paul has said that you speak so much truth. He has over 20,000 emails and he probably needs to call you. And then he's made a joke, which I was laughing at before I've even shared it, which is he said his email inbox is not a runway, it is a whole airport.
Oh, Paul, that's so much information.
And Sharon also said, yes, I just want to delete them all.
Yeah, so I'm a big fan of the productivity ninja, Graham Alcott. And if you haven't heard of him, he actually has a program which is all about getting your inbox to zero. And it's very in-depth. It's an easy read, but it's still quite in-depth. And it teaches people, particularly like CEOs, financial officers, very busy business people, how to deal with their inbox. And it was just mind-blowing when I read it.
Well, once upon a time, in my working life, I used to have it at 0 most of the time. However, it has completely broadened out.
Yeah.
And I have a few issues with emails at the moment. And one is that particularly Gmail sorts things into unusual tabs. And
Yes.
for instance, I missed my eldest son's report card because it got sorted into a social tab.
Okay.
And I just didn't receive it. And the communications from the school, like I don't know if you experienced this, but a lot of companies now are doing these bulk emails. So they'll
Yes.
use a different third party to send
Yeah.
out a bulk email. And when you receive it, it's read as spam or as a social. So it gets put
Mhm.
into different things. Now, an easy fix obviously is to add that address to your address book. But in this case, the school uses multiple addresses when it does this.
Oh,
So I miss a lot of key kind of communications. I don't know if you've had that issue that, things that that's not necessarily just person A, Bonnie sending an email to Serena, Serena sending an
no.
email back, or Serena sending an email to Paul. It's different mass communications that are read in
Yeah.
different ways.
Yeah, for sure. I think, so my husband and I have a Gmail account that we use for all our personal stuff. And I have certainly in Gmail, I know exactly what you're talking about, where, if I know I'm waiting on an email, I'll always check the promos folder or the spam folder because often it's there if it's come from an address that's not in the address book. I use Outlook for my emails for work, and I probably haven't had that problem as much. I don't know whether Outlook sort of works a bit of a different way. Yeah. I think just to continue talking about the email management, the second part of what I've done that's made a big difference is actually to think of my emails as a completely separate thing to a to-do list. So now I use an app called Asana, which looks after my to-do list. So, like in your inbox, you might have flags and you might have all sorts of things reminding you these are things you need to address. Well, now I get rid of those and they're all in the Asana app where I can prioritize them and I don't get distracted by, the promo emails coming in and somebody asking me about an event 2 months from now. It actually allows me to focus on my work and my priorities for the day. So that's something that has made it also a really big difference. So the other great thing about Asana for task management is that I can assign due dates to the tasks. I can add subtasks. I can leave some notes for myself about where I got up to something. And you can even add attachments as well. And that's all in the free version. It's also really great for teams. So if you're collaborating with a lot of other people, you can actually get them all on board to Asana. You can all have commentary on the same task, same projects, which
And
I
so,
really, really love.
so how do you spell Asana? So
Yep,
people looking at
ASANA.
ASANA, and that you
Yep,
like that.
I
So
really do.
the Avid Organiser likes this organising app.
I do. I definitely do. And if you're a person who likes sort of the Kanban, I think that's Kanban, how you say it, layout, with the boards,
Yeah.
Asana can do that as well. You've got different ways that you can view the information. But I think it's just that mindset change of stop working in your inbox, work on your work, prioritize externally, and just think of the inbox as the runway. Information in, information out. That's it.
Yeah. That is a good way of thinking. And I know, and it's not just emails these days either. Like it's like I get information on SMS, I get information on Facebook Messenger, I get
Yes.
information on WhatsApp. There's a whole lot of different things. And there's this trend now too where people increasingly send me messages that they record. Like I'm too busy, I don't have time to type. So they send it to me. And
Yeah.
then I'm on the other end and I'm pretty busy too. And my phone sort of like gives out after about 15, 20 seconds. So it's actually quite hard to listen to a 60-second message.
Yeah.
So information's flowing in like everywhere.
It is. And I think, we just got to do our best to manage that. It's very hard. I find Messenger, the voice memos, they are a little bit time consuming. I think too, like you can't underestimate the value of a voicemail. People tend to email or text or message now more than phone calls. But phone calls are actually brilliant, particularly if you go through to voicemail, because you can actually say really succinctly all the important information and you don't have to sort of go backwards and forwards with the pleasantries and
Yeah. I have to be honest though and say I hate voicemails. I really do. I don't listen to them regularly. When I do, I don't. And I know what it is. It's because my mother used to leave me very, very, very long voicemails. So
My husband hates them too.
yeah, so it's like different people have different communication styles. And with
Me
me,
too.
I really do not like voicemails at all.
I'll remember
So
that, Serena.
like I'll listen to them, but it might take me a week or two. And usually it's when it's something really urgent and they're like, oh, bother,
Yeah.
now I've got a dozen of these things I've got to listen to and delete before I get to the really urgent one.
Yes. Yeah, I understand what you mean.
It's crazy. Sharon has a grand plan of being on top of all her emails by the end of February. Yay, Sharon. And she started allowing 1 hour each day to focus on old emails, aiming to delete and unsubscribing from approximately 15 emails at a time.
That's
What?
awesome.
That is awesome. And Paul says that he only gets messages from royalty, that is a prince in South Africa who wants to give him money or telling him that he's won the Spanish lottery, which he has never entered. You never know. No, don't. It's a clearly scam, but you never know.
Yeah, definitely.
Could be a wealthy widow who's, in it's usually places in Africa that they have these kind of scams from. Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Actually, if you want to really entertain yourself, have a look at, I think his name's James Beach on TEDx, I think it is. He does a talk about when he responds to somebody who sent him spam email, and he just strings this spammer along for ages, and it's really hilarious.
Message, don't spam him. He's probably on a spammers blacklist because they know he does that.
Probably is. He probably is.
Our time has gone so quickly, but
Yes.
if anyone's got any further questions, if you can please pop this in the stream here in the comments. Bonnie, if you can please also leave your details so people can find you. You had a very generous offer too of a free consultation.
Yes, half an hour. If you want to pick my brains, ask me a question, run something by me, or you need a bit of advice on organising something, half an hour, let's jump on Zoom and I will do the best I can to help you get more organised.
Well, I thought I was a very organised person, but I've learnt a lot from Bonnie, and so I highly recommend it. And also, too, I think we sort of inherit what we think are organisational practices from our history. Like in my case, sorry, I need to drink something. I think nearly 20 years in the public service, and we always did things a certain way. Now, that doesn't mean it's the best way, but these are large organisations who had very significant security issues.
Yeah.
So they didn't necessarily have the flexibility and the ability to adapt and have new things. Like you couldn't just download Asana, for instance. It would have to go through an approval process. It would have to be checked for security. You'd have to have training programs so everyone could use it. Whenever there's, technological change, it happens at a slower pace. So now that I'm on my own, like I inherited, all these ways to do business. Like, you do, something in a Word doc and you file it. And then suddenly you go, well, actually, is there a different way to organize this? Is this a different way to save my context tax? Is there a different way to do things? And actually quite often there are.
Definitely. And I think, the way you work is always based on, I guess, what you've experienced, what you've seen other people do. So the more we talk about it, the more we share ideas. And I think my approach is very much what I call functional organisation, because not everybody has the same way of organising, the same natural sort of leanings. Some people really love paper, a lot of older people, and that's fine. We can come up with great systems that are paper-based. So I think the more we share ideas, the more we talk about it, we can come up with systems that are unique and work for us.
Yeah. Well, my bill payment system, which I've had for about 15 years, is still paper-based. I still print off things and put it in there because it works, because it's still a majority of my bills are still received via paper. But, I was thinking the other day, there's probably going to be in the next, couple of years, I'm going to have to devise a new electronic system for managing this, because this is going to become outdated. Now, I know there's a lot of different apps and there's different things around, but it is a bit scary because this has been my crutch for a long time. This is how I've known when my bills are due and make sure I paid it. And when I go and do my tax, I take this along. And if I've missed anything, I look into the folder. So that it's a certain amount of fear sometimes when you move from an old system that's been working to update it to a new one.
Yeah, 100% agree with you. Fear of change. It's a real thing, and it's reasonable to worry how things will work out when you've got a system that does work and is reliable.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much, Bonnie, from your time and for your time and for sharing so much wisdom with us. So, Bonnie Weston, the award-winning Avid Organiser, and she's won 2 awards last year, which she's justifiably proud of. And make sure you pick her brain. She's got lots of wisdom to share.
Awesome. Thanks so much for having me, Sabrina. Lovely chatting with you.
Thank you, Bonnie. Bye.